recording here as
Okay, you
well
want to do that
too.
again?
Yeah, let's go again because I think it just went live. And if people hear it twice, that's okay too. So
All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Health Coach Tip Tuesday, where we share tips, tools, and resources for health coaches and professionals so you can confidently solve your clients' health issues and grow your career as a health coach or professional. We have a fantastic topic today. I have Jenn Malecha with me, and we are going to be talking about the 3 stages of value-driven consultations that easily turn your potential clients into paying clients. We're going to talk about that a little bit more because I can vouch for that. So if you are absolutely ready, drop the word enroll below this video, and we're going to send you a awesome workbook called Stop Selling and Change the Conversation. Download it, fill it out, use it as a tool to help you change the conversation between you and your potential clients. How are you today, Jenn?
I'm good now that we are, dealing with technology. I think that Mercury goes direct today. So retrograde is officially over, but we're having, still some of those hiccups in technology, and it's election day too. So there's a lot of energy going on in the
Totally.
world.
It's a weird Tuesday, but anyway.
Yeah. If you're feeling like it's a weird Tuesday, let us know in the comments below. We want to know that too, if you're feeling us right now.
Yeah, we've got several people watching us. So let us know if it's not just election Tuesday, but weird Tuesday.
Yes. So I'm really excited, to be here, Piper, as usual, to share some best practices and tips with people. I find that, as health coaches or functional health professionals, and I felt this way too, like we go through these amazing trainings that teach us all of this science behind what it is that we do. And then it's kind of scary to go out into the world and actually, have confidence when it comes to offering our services and talking with people to enroll clients. And none of us really got into, this business or this industry to be salespeople. And oftentimes that's what we feel like it feels kind of icky and sticky and salesy. And when we're, trying to enroll clients, and it doesn't actually have to be that way. It can be really simple. It's just like having a conversation with a loved one or a friend that you care a lot about, that you really want to help. And ultimately, I think that's what we want, to do with our clients anyway. So I'd love to talk more about that today and share with, what I call the 3 stages of consultations that are kind of built off of the FDN philosophy and what we've been taught in the course, and how do we build value in our services for people.
Yeah, absolutely. So Melanie said she feels like it's a weird Tuesday for sure.
Yes.
So we've got Melanie, we've got Sean. Drop your comments. Let us know that you're here. Let us know where you're watching from. We would love to know where you're watching from. And if at any time you have questions for Jenn or myself, absolutely drop those too. So Jenn, most clients come to us with 3 things that they want to know. So I want to talk a little bit about what those 3 things are.
Mm-hmm. So I think that most clients, especially in our work, Piper, as a functional health practitioner, as a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, oftentimes the people that are coming to us are the people that have tried everything, right? They've been through what Reid calls the cycle of trial and error. They've seen multiple experts or practitioners. They've tried diets and exercise routines and supplements, and a lot of those things aren't working. And, what they're kind of feeling failed by the traditional medical system or some of the things that they've tried. And their biggest concerns are the 3 questions that they have for us is, can you help me? Do you know what's wrong with me? And have you helped anybody like me? Right. And so we can actually really address this through all stages of the consultation with them as we build, rapport and trust with them to be able to answer yes to this question. And one of the kind of key factors in how we're able to answer yes to this question, particularly as functional diagnostic nutrition practitioners, is because of the lab testing, that we use, where we're able to use this lab testing to uncover hidden healing opportunities, within the hormones, the immune, digestion, detoxification, energy, and nervous systems, when most people aren't really looking at the whole picture like that. But then the tricky part is, well, how do we actually relay that information and build value in that in a consultation, right? Because if you are not successfully doing that, sometimes the objections that you'll get, or things, that the questions you'll get back is, well, why can't I just order this lab testing, through my regular doctor? Or, insurance doesn't cover this lab testing. And what we want to do is we want to get them to see beyond that. We want to change their belief system, and helping them to understand what's really going to, truly help them. So, in stage one of the consultations, I say that stage one of the consultations, and let's actually break this down into like chunks. So my consultations are usually 45 minutes long. So stage one is 15 minutes. There's 3 stages. So each stage is kind of 15 minutes long, basically. So that first stage is where I really focus on building rapport and forming an impression about what is going on with somebody. And in this stage, where we're answering their questions is, one is that we're giving them a voice. I think that most of these people come to us and they feel like nobody is listening to them. They've gone to these experts, and they've tried to, communicate what's happening with their body. They're getting told that nothing's wrong with them, or they're getting mislabeled with a diagnosis, which I'm sure you've experienced in the work that you've done with your son and with your clients, right? You hear that
Oh
all the
yeah.
time.
My clients just get told, ignore it, just ignore it.
Right.
So
Yeah, exactly. And same thing, like I've had clients that are, told that everything looks fine, everything's normal on paper. And so during this stage, we're building that rapport, we're giving them a voice. And at the same time, during this stage, we're also forming an impression about what is going on with them, so that we can help answer some of those questions that they have. Because one of the questions is, do you know what's wrong with me? Also, like, can you fix me, right? Can you help me, essentially? So this is really critical in that first part to, this is kind of where I do a little bit of history intake, I guess I would say. Like, I actually have them tell me from starting at the point of birth, because it's important to collect information at the point of birth. Were you a C-section baby? Were you breastfed? Those things can be impacting, their health experience today. So I'll say, starting at the point of birth, let's talk about the highlights of what's happened to you health-wise. And then we'll also get, clues about diet and their sleep, and like, even things about, where do they live, like certain parts of the country here in the US, like the Midwest, for example, based on all the farming that takes place there's a high incidence of toxic exposures from pesticides and herbicides. So you start to form this impression about what's going on with them, so that you can then relay this, kind of tie this back to them and say, okay, here's what I think is kind of happening and how I can help you, essentially. So then we move into stage 2, which is the second 15-minute section. And this is where I'm really looking to identify some of the intrinsic motivation and their desires. And this is going to help to overcome some of those objections that you get, like when they will question you at the end about the cost, or why can't I just have my doctor run these lab tests, or these lab tests aren't covered by insurance, or coaching, even if you're just a coach that's not using lab testing, the coaching services are not covered by insurance, or they might say that it's costly. And what we really want to do is get to the bottom of why this matters to them. So one of the key questions to ask in this place is, one, what is it that they'd want? What do they desire? So I kind of frame this in, if I had a magic wand and I could give you anything that you wanted in the next 30, 60, or 90 days, what would that look like exactly? And oftentimes they will initially respond with some of I call them the surface level things that they want. So they'll say, I want to lose weight, or I want more energy, or I want to stop having like eczema or psoriasis outbreaks, or I want my, kids to stop having ticks, right? But we want to get deeper than that. So then I will, reposition the question or propose a new question stating like, well, when you have all of that, when you've lost weight, you have more energy, you're bloat free, you're skin rash free, like your kids' ticks are gone, whatever's happening, what would having that do for you? Because every investment in your health is an emotional decision. So we want to connect the emotion with the outcome. Like, what is it? What is the transformation and the result that they truly actually desire? And so we can repeatedly ask them these questions to get deeper and deeper, like, well, what would having that do for you? Why is that important to you? Ultimately, like, I repeat those questions until we get to a point where they are expressing how, it would bring them more joy or happiness. It would help them to fulfill their purpose in life. We've reached that core of the emotional aspect of it. And then, as Reed teaches us in the course, in the FDN course, the next kind of most critical, and this is so important question to ask them, is on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it for you to fix it? And they need to be a 9 or a 10 in order for us to work with them. So I know you've gone through this yourself, Piper. So share a little bit about your experience and how these like aspects have been critical in your consultation work that you've done with people.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like before I was using this kind of value-driven technique that people were kind of getting away with picking my brain and really asking me questions. And this has given me the ability to take control of those consultations. And I really feel like stage 2 is pretty like the magical stage, because it really gets them to dig deep and just really get clear on what it is they want for their health. For me, it's what do these people want for their children's health? And I was on the phone with somebody Friday or Saturday last week, and she was like, I want her light to be back on. I want her to have energy, and I want her to be able to go about her everyday life as a teenager and not struggle with people looking at her or watching her because she's ticking, because she can't control her movements. But for someone to say like, oh, I want their light to be back on, it really helps those parents to realize like, these are the things that I want for my kid. And these are not things that, they're going to the doctor. The doctor's not asking them these questions and getting into the nitty gritty, so to speak. But, for me, when getting clear and using this value-driven consultation has completely changed my practice. I had my biggest sale ever in September. And then in October, I had my biggest month ever. I had a $10,000 month using this technique. Jenn actually teaches it in PBE, and she even gives you a script. So I modified the script for myself. I pull it out. I get on the phone. I'm talking to these people. I write down all of their pain points because I want that later, especially when I'm going to be doing social media or blogging or whatever. So it has really, really completely changed my practice. And I think that it's a technique that really gives you control of the consultation.
Yeah. So there's two things that I love that you said there. One is you said, this having this direction helped you be the lead. Like previously in the consultations, you were kind of letting the client lead. And this again goes back to those 3 questions that, every client comes to us as Reed teaches us, like in the course is, can you help me? Have you helped others like me? And do you know what's wrong with me? They're looking for us to be the experts and to help be an advocate for them. And so if we aren't taking the lead and directing and guiding them, they're not going to get that like security from us or that trust or that confidence. And so I often say that this is like, if you've ever taken dance lessons before, if you're into dancing, some of the more traditional types of dancing, not freestyle dancing, but partner dancing, there's always a lead in the dance roles, and the lead is in charge of, leading the dance moves and the transitions. And as health coaches and functional health practitioners, it's really important for us to stand strong in what's called our coaching stance and to take the lead in these situations and to show them, be the expert, because that's what they're looking for us to come, with help for. And then the other thing that I think is so great that you kind of touched on is that not only are these consultations great because they're going to help you enroll your clients, but you're getting a ton of information from them, information gathering that you can then use as it's kind of like target market research, basically that you can use for your marketing, your social media posting is like talking about these scenarios that are being, walked through during the consultations. So this is great. So let's talk about stage 3, because stage 3 is then when we kind of mirror them and make an irresistible, solution-oriented, offer. And one of the books that I've been reading lately is called Meant for More by Lisa Sasevich. And I know you've been reading it too. And she, I think, just so beautifully talks about in there about how, not offering our services and making an irresistible offer is actually doing a disservice, because every single one of you that is watching right now or watching the replay later, or anybody that's out there, trying to work in this functional health space as a coach or a professional, we all have unique gifts to offer people, and there's people out there that need our services. So if we're not offering our services, then we're doing a disservice. But there is a kind of a trick to offering your services so that it doesn't feel salesy. And then it also makes it easy for the client to say yes and understanding what you do. So once we've gone through, stage one, we've done some information gathering, we've built rapport. Stage two, we identify their intrinsic motivations and desires. We kind of also talk to them about how important it is to fix it. Like we said, on a scale of 1 to 10, they need to be a 9 or a 10. That basically shows you their level of commitment. You want to think about, you should be interviewing the client during this time just as much as that they're interviewing you, and setting some boundaries that you're only going to work with people who are a 9 or a 10, those most ideal clients for you, because you can't help people that aren't committed, essentially. So once they say that they're a 9 or a 10, and then we kind of move into, now is that the time that we're going to explain our services. But what I find that a lot of health coaches and functional health professionals get caught up on is the logistics of how they do their work. And people don't really care about the logistics, they care about the transformation. So I think that it's important to identify, like, what are the specific transformational techniques that you use in your practice. And a lot of us are trained in the same modalities, but there's certain things about our experience and who we are as people that make us unique. That's why somebody would choose to work with me over Piper, and vice versa, right? So once we get to this place, when they say that they're a 9 or a 10, I say, great, you're exactly the kind of person that I would work with. And here's what I see is kind of going on with you. And now what I do is I mirror back to them some of the information that they shared in stage one, and helping them to connect the dots. Like, you were a C-section baby, you weren't breastfed. And then as a child, you developed allergies or asthma. And then when you started your menstrual cycle, you had irregular periods, and then you got put on birth control, and then your thyroid went haywire, and then these things. I'm like getting them to start to see that this is a like multifactorial problem, essentially. And so they're going to need a multifactorial solution, that it's just diet is not going to fix them, just sleep's not going to fix them, supplements are not going to fix them. We've got some work to do. And in our scenario, I tie this back to some of the lab testing. Like, when I can show them this picture and help them to connect the dots, I'm also saying, based on this experience that you had and what you've been talking about and how it ties to your current situation, I would suggest running like a cortisol hormone test on you, or a stool sample test on you, or a food sensitivity test. And we should also look at these things because they're all interconnected. And with the FDN approach, we typically run about 5 lab tests so that we at one time, so that we can see the hormones, immune, digestion, detoxification, energy, and nervous system, all interacting together. And it's helping them to see the bigger picture. We're changing their belief system from, it's not one single problem or solution, it's multiple things have been going on over time. And so we need to work on all the systems of the body. And so once I kind of relay that to them, I say, does that make sense? And I get them to acknowledge, yeah, that totally makes sense. I can see that so clearly. That's exactly what I've been thinking. Like, this is why I've been spinning my wheels, is what they've been, will say. Why isn't anybody else looking at these things? And so then I start to go into the irresistible offer. And the irresistible offer is about explaining the transformation. So being able to say, like, I kind of say, you should be able to communicate like 3 transformational techniques that you're going to use. So I say, great, when I work with clients, the first thing that we focus on is figuring out what foods are right for your body so that it can function at its potential, so that you can have the energy that you desire, right? That's what they want. That's one of the things that they're searching for. And then I'll tell them, the second thing that I focus on is uncovering hidden healing opportunities using the functional lab testing, so that we can bring all the systems of the body back online so you can feel like your best self. And then the third thing that I focus on is teaching you a model of self-care, so that you'll know how to tune into your body at any point in time and give it exactly what it needs, so that you can not only maintain your results, but at some point you won't need me anymore. you'll know how to do this. You'll know how to be healthy. And that's kind of the transformational stuff that they're looking for, that they desire, is like, and this is also explaining back, it's going back and also being able to answer those questions. Do you know what's wrong with me? Can you help me? And have you helped others like me? And during this whole thing, I'm kind of sprinkling in maybe comments about other clients that have experienced the same thing, or I'm sharing with them how I've experienced the same thing, which is showing them that I've helped others like them and that it is possible, right? So once I share those transformational techniques with them, I say, how does that sound to you? And they'll say, oh my God, that sounds like exactly what I've been looking for, right? Now we have built this rapport. We have, clearly outlined the solutions that and gotten acknowledgement from them that it's in alignment with what they want. Now it makes it easy to go into talking about our service offerings. And so we want to talk about it as an investment, not a cost. There's the psychology of that. So I'll tell them, great, let's talk about how we can work together. I'm going to go through my 3 different package offerings. I want you to listen with an open mind and an open heart for which one feels right for you. And at the end, we'll discuss which one felt right for you and which one I think is best for you. So I'll talk through the 3 different packages that I offer. And when I talk about the money amount, I say the investment in this package is not the cost or the fee. The investment in this package is, X, Y, and Z, $5,000 or whatnot. And then at the end, getting them, I say, okay, setting all limitations, money, fear, time aside, which one resonated with you the most, and helping them to remove those objections right away and really connect back in. Like, this is why we set the stage in stage 2 of that intrinsic motivation. Like, in order to have truly what they want, like which one is going to meet their needs. And they're usually selecting their own package. And then basically from there, we discuss next steps. Okay, great. Let's see how we can move forward. Would you like to do a payment plan? And then we go through and process payment. So that stage 1, 2, and 3 is how we're building that value into that irresistible offer, because we're answering all their questions up front, focusing on what their pain points are and the solutions that we provide, and not the logistics, the technical talk of what it is that we do, basically.
Absolutely. So Suzanne Burton says she loves stage 1, 2, the 1, 2, 3 breakdown.
Oh, good.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I know there's some new people joining us. If you're just joining us, drop the word enroll below this video. We are going to send you our Changing the Conversation workbook. It's a great workbook to figure out how you can really change the conversation that you're having with your potential clients.
Mm-hmm.
Enroll below. I feel like, as far as that logistical part, once you get completely clear on what you are going to offer as far as your package, that logistical fear kind of goes out the window, and you have control of this. This is exactly what I'm going to offer. And I used to be really afraid to make that big offer, my biggest package. It made me so nervous to do it. And now, I'll do the first package, second package, and then we'll talk about that. And they're like, yes, that's the one I want. Sign me up. So doing it this way has really changed the way that I deliver that value to my clients.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And we can talk about the logistical parts afterwards. I mean, once I get their agreement, they're ready to enroll. We start talking about payment. Then I say, okay, this is what's going to happen next. Like, we're going to do submit your first payment. You're going to get a welcome email from me. All of your lab kits, your lab tests are going to be shipped to you. You're going to get instructions on how to do them. Once I receive all the lab tests back and your intake forms, then we'll meet to go over and review everything. And we'll start the coaching process. So those are the logistics stuff that you can talk about afterwards, once you've built all this value and you've gotten the acknowledgement and the yes for them to enroll.
Awesome. Well, Jen, thank you so much for joining me today. I think it was a great conversation about how we can really deliver value to our clients. So thank you for joining me on the Health Coach Tip Tuesday show. And I hope everybody got some great information out of today's episode. And I'll be back here tomorrow with the Real Results show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming. All right. Thanks everybody for joining us today.
Talk to you soon.
Bye, everybody.